The Tusken Raidars and Radars.
Damn it, Alex, it's Tusken Raider, not radar.
I said Raiders. You know what the fuck I do.
Welcome to DreamHack Tonight, Real-Time Edition. I am Kyle, and today we are on the Mandalorian Fanboy Show. And, oh yeah, there's Alex down there too. We are going to be talking about all the cool things Mandalorian. We're really excited after watching a couple of the episodes of it so far. So we wanted to recap a little bit of what was going on last season. But before that, Alex.
Yeah, really awesome news. If you guys didn't know, if you have Xbox Game Pass, which you'll hear me on the show swear by, you get a free month of Disney Plus. So if you haven't seen The Mandalorian, it's personally my favorite piece of Star Wars content since the original series. So yeah, Xbox is making a lot of moves in terms of content. Just wish that they would put out their own first-party games, but I think that's pretty cool. And so we're not going to talk about season 2 just yet. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, so we're going to be discussing some of our favorite elements of The Mandalorian Season 1 and what we're kind of looking forward to in the future of the show. So,
yeah, my first favorite thing about it, honestly, so far is showing the different worlds, going back to Tatooine and seeing the, as we used to know, the Sand People, which are also named the Tusken Raidars, and seeing Mandalorian actually speak their language with the, I can't do it, but just seeing him with a lot of sign language. And I just think it's cool that every episode brings back a callback from a previous movie or piece of content in the Star Wars universe. And just to see them flesh out going back to Tatooine, it'd be cool if they had like Luke's original home in the background or something like that. But it was just one of those really cool aspects of seeing the Tusken Raidars work together with humans and seeing what they wanted, obviously in the Mandalorian, bounty Western kind of thing. So I think that episode, which actually was season 2, but seeing them interact was really awesome with the Mandalorian and just seeing them come together.
for sure. And there's so much about like the Jawas that you don't really get to experience. And like when you watch that first season where he goes and gets that egg, that was just kind of bizarre, right? Like that scene where the Jawas are celebrating this victory of him bringing back this egg and are willing to part with all of the parts on his ship that they just stole from him over this thing that they crack open instantly and just like all over the place with this inside of this yolk for this thing. So I really do think that there's so much to explore in the Star Wars universe, and the animals and the creatures and the monsters from this are just incredible.
Yeah. And who thought a bounty hunter would be the one to explore it all for us?
Right? It feels more like a Star Wars video game, which is pretty cool in my opinion, because you got to see a lot of the creatures in the video games because they need just mobs for you to go out there and trash kill. But this is super detailed, diving a little bit deeper in some of these creatures that we've seen sprinkled throughout the films, but never have we gone deep in with a mudhorn and watched a battle like this and gone into its lair. And that kind of exploration I've really enjoyed about this show. And I don't know what creature will be my favorite one, but it's hard to nail one down just from season 1.
So. Oh, we're back to mine. Shit. Hey guys, right back at and then you haven't seen the latest episode. You're gonna see an awesome creature in that one. But back to mine, the exploration of or teases at least of past shows. The Clone Wars had a character appear, as we know, Moff Gideon, who was an old wartime soldier who has the dark saber, which was a huge end arc in a story from the Clone Wars. And just to see that acted out by Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, the bad guy in that as well, was such a cool thing. And I think a lot of people watching Mandalorian for the first time, when they saw a lightsaber sword, went right to Google, like, what the hell is that, a sword saber? So that just opens up a whole new world of things. And that was the last episode, the last scene. So hopefully you've seen season 1 by now. If you haven't, sorry, but just seeing that opens up a whole new can of worms of like, why is this guy coming for the asset, aka the child and Baby Yoda? And just to see that kind of badass character, and that's something I'll talk about soon, about how I want to see more encompassing bad guys coming after everybody.
Well, and the lore of that dark saber is so cool because it's even Mandalorian in nature. It is tied to the first Mandalorian with midichlorians, the first Jedi accepted into the order that was also from the Mandalorians. That has such a deep tie to what is the now mission behind Mando, is what it feels like to go out and get everything that belonged to the Mandalorians and bring it back and restore honor and glory to their group. What I don't even know the right term for this. Is it like a commune? Is it what is that kind of thing that we have there?
Yeah, because you don't know what happened to the Republic after the second Death Star, and like what's going to be the end main antagonist. And it seems like it's that guy, but we haven't seen him yet in season 2. But next thing that I
Yeah.
love about this, I'm a huge movie buff. Jon Favreau, he directed. He doesn't direct every episode, but he's the main producer on the show. Thanks to him, I'm like in love with Star Wars again and studying the whole lore, because Mandalorian it kind of knocked it out of the park. Yes, the baby Yoda out of the first episode was the hook, line, and sinker for a lot of people, going, he's so adorable, and understanding his story. But Jon Favreau took Iron Man, made that, and that created the whole Marvel comic universe, cinematic universe that we've known and loved for the last decade. So to see him at the helm of this, it's like, when you watch movies, it's basically the director's take on what he wants you to see and enjoy. And this guy just nails it. Obviously, Disney at the top, he's probably got to impress his superiors, but just so many things that as a fan, you're just loving every aspect of it. And I just hope this opens up the doors. They're coming out with a Obi-Wan Kenobi show at some point. What was it? The Han Solo spinoff with the younger version didn't go over so well, but now seeing him take over. Oh, is there another? No, same actor and everything?
I hope so. I heard that there may be more of those two, Chewie and that actor that played Han.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like what we were hoping. But the fact that Jon Favreau, I hope to God him and Waikiki that directed the final episode of season 1 make the whole, like, if there's ever a new trilogy, just work on that, because they're nailing it out of the park, and it makes me trust their vision and how they're taking the show to new heights.
And there's so much to explore and so many different ways to explore the Star Wars universe, that having all these directors and all these different talent that can take the Star Wars story, and we know we already have trust in them to go and do great things with it. That's the kind of power that Disney's wielding right now, and it's really cool to see them do that. But the last thing that I wanted to see more of and explained in this show from what we've seen so far is, like, what is a Yoda? What is a child? What is a yodeling? Like, what are these creatures? Who are they? What do we do with them? I don't even know enough about them, because it's always been so, like, guarded in Star Wars lore, that it's cool to see more of them. But, like, we don't even know what this creature's race is, what it is. So, there's more Yodas of, whatever you want to call them, little green, furry, old looking creatures that seem to live for a long time. But we're seeing a little bit more in a snippet there, and this is kind of like the last bit of like sacred lore for Star Wars, and we're getting little bits of a snippet of the early life of one of these creatures, and it's super cool to see. But I want more. Like, force feed me some Yodas is all I can feel after this first season for sure, and going into season 2.
Yeah, Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of some of the more theory crafting, and what do we want to see from this moving forward, this show, and all the directors and all the talent they have lined up, and the writers have been doing such a great job of showing us all the things from Star Wars that we may not have even realized could have had an entire episode dedicated to it. And season 2 has kind of shown us bits and pieces of where they're going to be taking that. But with season 1, they showed us some of those snippets as well, and we have gone through our favorites. But where do you want to see the show go, Alex? Where do you want to see some of the pieces that haven't been covered yet, that you feel like are so Star Wars that they need to be covered?
Yeah, as a huge fan of the show, I think it's really awesome that every episode does feel like a video game, like we mentioned, and it's like a mini mission towards a bigger plot. I really think this whole show is going to lead into either obviously the spinoffs of the other shows, or just something massive that builds into something. But it's like, I want to see a bigger bad guy. The main plot is obviously finding Baby Yoda's home and the child's home, and seeing if there's more of them out there. But the fact that all the other Mandalorians are possibly killed off in that last episode, Boba Fett was teased a lot, seeing where that kind of ends up. Is that a clone of him? Is that the real him? So that's kind of exciting to see that, and see where Mando goes, because obviously his parents were horrifically murdered by droids. And, the droid, he hates droids. And then he learned to trust a droid after that droid basically saved their lives, the nurse droid at the end of the last season. But my favorite thing was, I love when they can have Star Wars lore and make it funny in such a good way. And that final episode scene with the two stormtroopers felt like Robot Chicken to me. If you remember those, or the Family Guy Star Wars spins off, and that was made by Wakiki that made the Thor, who did Thor Ragnarok. Now he's working on the next Thor because he did such a good job. But seeing that interaction, and it was with two stand-up comedians as cameos. I think I watched that 5 minutes scene like 6-7 times. Like every time I play games, I'm like standing by, just like how the guy says it. And it was just so good. But I would like to see, I know we're probably going to see some bigger battle, bigger story, because in season 2 shows you some returning, not big characters, but the Republic and the good guys coming after Mando and stuff, to see where they're going to take that and explore and see where the bigger story is of Mandalorian, other than trying to find Yoda's planet. But wherever it goes, man, I'm hooked on every episode every Friday. It's like 3 a.m. If I'm still awake, I watch it. Otherwise, I wait until Friday morning to see it.
For sure. I mean, it's one of those things that you need a little bit of time to be able to digest and watch it, of maybe a couple times. But there's pieces of Star Wars that are missing from this show still for me, and the fact that Jedi's are completely void from Star Wars, I think, is something that they're trying to establish, that Star Wars can exist outside of just a lightsaber and a Jedi. But I also want to see Jedi's interact with Mando.
Sure.
But in the timeline that we've been given so far, there's not a whole lot of them. So I want to see kind of how they do more of that force wielders, kind of like what we saw in, what was that, episode 8, when they go to the casino and you see the stable hands that have that they have midichlorian powers and they can use the force. So I want to see more of those force wielders that aren't necessarily Jedis, that are kind of just lost and scattered during this timeline that we're in, because post episode 6 Star Wars has not been explored a whole lot, and we're given this dramatic re-entry of Star Wars with episode 7 in the New Order. But what happens in between is still so, hidden and unseen from what we know outside of Luke and his Jedi Academy. There was nothing from what we know. So I want to see where they take the Jedis for sure.
Yeah, and honorable mentions. Queel was amazing.
Yep.
Taking care of the droid, bringing it back to life and turning its main motives and missions. What other characters? There's just so many they introduced, and I can't wait for the more introductions. But Yoda, this baby child does not know he's a Jedi, but he has the Force, and he's used it a couple times against the Mudhorn and all that. So, but excited for where the show goes. But I got to ask you, Kyle, knowing you're a huge Disney fan, but I might be a huger Mandalorian fan.
Oh,
Look at this
boy.
it's going to go over my bed. Sadly. Thank God Justin's not here to make fun of me for being single. But yeah, how sad were you? But a lot of us were sad at first when Disney bought Star Wars. And you're like, shit, they're going to ruin it. But after the MCU took off with Disney owning it and everything, and Marvel, I trust what Disney will approve and allow to do. They're not messing up anything in terms of entertainment. How sad or happy were you when that happened?
I mean, I remember where I was sitting. I was at work at the time when I read the article.
Oh my God, he remembers. Yeah.
They were buying Star Wars, Disney being they were buying Star Wars. And I was pretty excited, honestly, because all I could think of what was coming down the line was Star Wars Land, Star Wars Land, Star Wars Land, because that's instantly where my brain went. And it's incredible. I love it. I'm envious that I can't live there on Black Spire Outpost, but
I'm 10 minutes away.
like there's so much content. I hate you. So much content here that we can develop out of this universe, that it took a mega powerhouse like Disney to really, they're going to milk it for sure because it's Disney and they milk everything that they can. But so far they've created good content to milk, and they aren't just milking it dry. So I had the idea that they were going to create more content, but they couldn't make bad content because they just invested a ton of money in Star Wars, and we're picky. We're picky fans. They had to get a council together to choose what was going to be canon and not, because there's so much out there for Star Wars, and you have to really take what George created and then the fans have adopted and melded this entire thing into, and treat it properly. And once I saw that they were doing that, I was sold that they were going to treat it right. But I was always just happy that there was going to be more Star Wars content, and that I can buy a droid and a lightsaber and all these things that are Disney quality level items, instead of just things from Etsy and the occasional spin-off item that you find at Target. So I was super stoked, and I am still even more excited to this day, knowing that Disney's done a great job in the first iteration of what they're going to do with Star Wars that's going to live on forever and ever. And a galaxy far away.
Yeah, we totally don't talk about Force Awakens and the repeat of the very first one. But yeah, I mean, he's an obsessed fan when he calls George by his first name like they know each other. But yeah, I know, again, Mandalorian guys, check it out. This was we love being able to talk about these kind of episodes. So let us know in the comments below, like what you think of Mandalorian. Are you excited? Have you been disappointed at all? Just let us know what you think. And please like and subscribe for more DreamHack Tonight content from us.
And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Simply Nuck, Blue Microphone, and Astro Gaming for your continued support of our shows. And an additional thank you to our wonderful behind-the-scenes production people for making sure that we can continue to have cool conversations like this about nerdy shit that we love.
Yep. May the Force be with you.